Once again, this is another episode of the Rebellious Rhymer Podcast. I am your host, Shane the Artist, also known as Matrea Asek, and we got a special guest in the house tonight. This is my brother here, like no other. Me and him have been putting it down for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Running these
Yeah.
streets. Putting things in their proper order, putting things in check, stepping up to the police, doing everything we have to do to make sure that the neighborhood thing is safe and good. I would like to welcome my brother. I see you go by Persuado Killer now.
Yeah, pseudo killer.
Oh, pseudo killer,
Yes, sir.
brother Sean. Well, you go by pseudo killer. Cool, cool. So what's been going on with you, brother, man? Been trying to get you on here for a minute. I would like to do more podcasts with you along because I know that you be dropping some jewels and you got a lot to say. And
Most definitely.
here at the Rebellious Rhymer Podcast, we appreciate jewels being dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
With the appraisal and everything. You know what I'm saying? So
Most definitely.
yeah, it's been a lot going on, family. A lot going on in the world. I don't know where you want to start, man.
I'm
Is
starting anywhere, man. We're gonna get down to well, here's the thing why I want to get down to, man, is going back. Let's get on the FBA thing, but I wanna also, for those who are confused and those who pretend like they're confused. See, it's two different sides of the coin what people don't understand what the FBA thing is.
I
Actually,
get
that's
you.
a lineage. It's a lineage, right? We all know FBA is a lineage. And we have, you know, the so-called or suspected white supremacists. You got these tethers out here. And then you just got some Negroes who just pretend like they don't know, or they just really not in the know about what FBA is. We're gonna say real quick, man, what FBA is. It's a lineage, man. Pretty much everybody knows it's a
Right.
lineage. And what is a lineage? Well, your lineage goes back to the foundation in the beginning of your people on this land. Anywhere where your people was at on any land on this on any part of the planet, you have a lineage. Everybody has a lineage. You have to know where your lineage
Absolutely. Your
begins
blood.
from. Right, right. So,
Absolutely. No.
right. So you have a surname, right?
Right.
And so with your surname, whether you took your father's last name or your mother's last name, or if they was married, you just got a surname. You got a lineage to that surname. There's a beginning to that
Absolutely.
surname. Okay, so that's not if your last name is, I don't want to say your government name on here, but whatever your last name is, everybody knows that's not a goddamn group. It's not a
Right.
group, and because when we go back to our lineage and tribes and things of that nature. You got to remember, man, back then people didn't name themselves um, whatever their lineage was. Some people didn't even have a name for their tribes yet, or whatever you want to say. When we talk about the founding fathers never called themselves founding fathers, right? So
Right.
those names come later on. Um, when it becomes history, people place a name on, certain people. They place a name on certain movements and things of that nature. A lot of times they don't start off with a name. So that's lineage right there, man. That's to explain lineage in a um, easier way. Um,
Right.
as far as why we call ourselves foundational Black Americans, because one, as Black people, man, America wouldn't have been built without us. We are the bread and butter and the main ingredient to why this country is today and where is that today. We know that.
Facts.
Right,
Facts.
right. So people get confused. Now, I'm staying on the subject and I'm not trying to segue away from what we're talking about. But when I was watching that, I did watch that whole debate. I didn't watch it live, but I did watch that whole debate between you and Taharka. And
Oh man,
I noticed that
that brother there.
he keep regurgitating um as far as FBA being a group. FBA is a group.
He's doing
And
his job. You know, he's the spin that he's putting on it.
right,
You know, in an attack, and really, I believe that these attacks are due to the fact that somebody that in particular like created the term FBA. And
right.
we're talking about Tariq Nasheed. He came up with the term FBA, and some people have an issue with Tariq Nasheed. So instead of just attacking him personally, which they shouldn't do. They
Right.
just go ahead and just attack the whole movement, which, like you said, is not even really a movement. It's just
It's
a
a lineage.
lineage and people acknowledging their lineage.
It's a
But go
lineage,
ahead.
man. It's a lineage, man. I say my last name. That's my family history. I got family history and lineage on both sides of the coin, your mother's side and your father's side. Okay? You got a lineage on both sides. And when we talk about foundational Black Americans, man, when I used to ask people, what do you classify yourself as we try to figure out who we are. Everybody think that we all came packed like sardines on slave ships, and they got this fantasy idea that we just came here by the millions from West Africa, and that's not true. We got it's too much history I can go into. We got too many receipts. Um, of how long we've been here, man. As far as you go to Alexander von Wuthenau. You know what I'm saying? You go to different archaeologists and paleontologists, man. Not only that, just the white settlers that was coming here before Columbus, man, was saying how they saw black folks on this land before red natives got here. And so,
Absolutely.
um, what is there a term to the original people of this land? We didn't have a racial term at that time. You had thousands of tribes on this land, right? So, and a lot of black folks got this confusion too when they say, "Oh man, my great grandmother or my great grandfather was mixed with Indian," and I'm thinking like, "Well, what you mean Indian? Indians never called themselves Indians." So we got this idea that it's these pale faced or these Hispanic looking people that came from the Bering Strait um, over here a few thousand years after we was here first. We migrated out of Africa, man. And so what people is getting shook up about, there's a big old movement, man, right now about the reparations thing. That's what's really shaking up everything. Gavin Newsom already in California um, disrupted the reparations move already earlier this year. So what a lot
He
of
did.
white supremacists they're looking at is that damn, if 43 million Black Americans get reparation, because they online every day saying that it's not them, they didn't cause slavery and all of this stuff, man. What it boils down to is us getting what we supposed to get, and they don't want to pay that bill. The red natives, they got free land. The Mexicans out here, they got their form of reparations. The Chinese got their form of reparations because they so-called claim they worked on the railroads when the blacks built the railroads. So that's what this big thing is going on right now with this FBA. They're trying to call it a movement. It's not a movement, and it's not a new thing. It's been here.
Absolutely. And let me piggyback off of what you just said, brother, because you touched on some key points right there. But
All right.
yeah, so were we responsible for the Holocaust? Black Americans, were we responsible for the Holocaust? No. Were we responsible? Did we put Japanese in the internment camps? No. Did we oppress the so-called Native Americans and give them blankets with smallpox and kill off half of the population? No, we did not. So why do me as a black American and as a taxpayer I
Right.
have to. I don't want to pay money to Japanese for them being in internment camps, but my tax dollars paid for it. I don't want to be paying money for so-called Native Americans. I didn't oppress them, but my tax dollars so-called pay for it. And the same with the Ashkenazi Jewish community. My tax dollars go to paying off their reparations. I don't want to pay that, but unfortunately, living in the United States of America, I have to pay it.
Right.
So we need that same energy when it comes to Black Americans reparations. We need our reparations, and whether you like it or not, we don't like paying reparations for other groups of people, but we pay it anyway, and that's the same. That is the same ideal that we need to roll with when it comes to Black Americans reparations. But go ahead, brother.
All right. So with that being said, man, you notice that within the last year, it's been growing, man. It's been a big fiasco over this reparations thing, man, and within the government. Um, Trump mentioned it a few times when he was working with when he was running for president. He mentioned that a few times, but then you see he kind of backed away from it. Um, there's been a big shakeup, man, on the grassroots level, and now the grassroots movement, man, has made this prominent now. So what a lot of people don't want to see, and it's us against everybody else, man. They don't want to see us get our due because they know that price tag is heavy. They know that price tag is heavy for reparations, man. And we entitled to land. They know they have to allocate land. Um, you have to shell out a few trillion. I would say at least a good 12 to 15 trillion dollars to every Black American out here who has a lineage to this land. Now, I'm not talking about Africans. Africans got to deal with their own when they was um, taken over by the French, taken over by Britain, and taken over by Spain. They have to handle their business with with those settlers who came on their side of the coin. But a lot of the Africans, man, are trying to throw a monkey wrench into what we're doing. And what gets me, man, I'm one of the ones, I admit, that try to have unity with a lot of these folks, through the diaspora, man. But a lot of us Black folks, man, we cutting that off. We not saying F you. We not saying we don't want shit to do with Africa or Africans, but we are delineating now. Because we ever since the 1960s, man, we the ones that's been fighting for them, man. When it was apartheid in South Africa, we had Black Americans here fighting for them. Not only that, we fought for the 14th Amendment. Um, you know, going way back, having everybody come over here. They didn't want Africans here. They didn't even want other foreigners here. But we fought for that. A lot of people don't understand the history with that situation. Also with the civil rights movement. Um, we was vouching and trying to get, our other Black cousins from the diaspora over here because we know that what kind of conditions they was living in with corrupt governments and they governments being compromised by the white colonials and things of that nature. Well, I noticed, from a child to now, Africans, man, don't want nothing to do with Black Americans. Is that to say is all of them? No. There's some pretty cool Africans. But on a general scale, they come here to take. I done seen a lot of them, man, when you go online and they say a lot of the 4chan shit, man. And they come here to take. They don't want nothing to do with Black Americans. You have these parents telling their children not to watch these Akatas, Abibs, Jareers. They got all of these names, these derogatory names for Black Americans. And we didn't catch on to a lot of that shit when we was younger, man. Our parents never told us no shit as far as stay away from them African kids and don't play with that
Never.
African boy. We never did that. We always had advice of, hey, Watch that white boy. You know, not bringing a white girl home or something like that. But we never have vitriol towards other Africans, man. And so now a lot of the Africans are putting these political powers and putting in office, and it's a lot of them um, behind the scenes, like Sheila Jackson Lee. It's a lot of these tellers, man, with American names, but they look at their background, and investigate their background, and they come from the Caribbean, they come from Africa, and they do all this black talk, but then they try to hinder us getting our, our reparations to what is owed. That's what's killing me, man. And so when John Henry Clark said we don't have no friends, he wasn't lying. But uh,
Absolutely.
the delineation move now, man, it's been strong, man, all over the U.S. and everybody coming out the woodworks, man. It's literally millions of different videos of Africans, white nationalists. They talking about it right now. So this ain't no thing that's online. This is a huge movement. This is a real huge
Absolutely, brother.
movement, man.
I agree with you, man. It definitely is a huge movement. And I feel that the delineation of FBA Black Americans from the diaspora is a very important move to make. Because, one, it is teaching people from the diaspora how to treat us. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Because we went through decades of disrespect when we had nothing but love for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. So that's number one. It is teaching people how to treat us. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if you can still hear or see me. How do we sound out there, y'all? Do we still sound glitchy or?
What about now?
Okay, yeah, you back on track. Number two, the delineation is very important because it is important that we have a tight grip on our movement as far as for the reparations is concerned.
Right.
We don't need the waters to be muddied. We don't need reparations for all black people all over the world. That's going to muddy the waters. Of course, the United States government cannot pay reparations for all black people all across the world. So, okay, this is clear. But okay, so we good to go right now. So of course, we don't need people that lineage does not go back to this land of the United States. We do not need everybody in our reparations business. You understand what
No,
I'm saying? You
no.
have CARICOM, you have the Caribbeans and CARICOM, and they have their reparations movement going with Britain, I believe.
And they didn't
And
include us.
Black Americans have no part of their reparations movement. So why? But yet and still, the president of the CARICOM, I don't remember the sister's name, but she is interjecting herself into Black American FBA business when it comes to the reparations, and that type of stuff I don't agree with, and that's the tethering that we're talking about. So it's very important that we delineate to get this reparations business straight and to make sure that these reparations go to descendants of the slaves here on this landmass.
Right.
And speaking of, you earlier you talked about the slave ships bringing in Africans packed like sardines and stuff like that. What a lot of people don't understand is that, yeah, we did have some Africans being brought to the shores like Jamestown and stuff like that, but that was only about 3%
3%.
out of maybe 10 million Africans or something like that. Only
Right,
3% of those Africans were brought here to the shores of
right.
North America. The majority of those ships, the majority of those Africans were sent to South America and the Caribbeans.
Not only that, man, it was only between 2 to 3% of slaves got here. Not only that, um, when people say, "Oh man, we come out of Africa," and see the reparations thing. This is where the Atlantic slave trade get caught up with the reparations thing, man. They try to in the history books. I noticed that they taught this heavy in schools. Now you got in the state of Texas. with Greg Abbott, he outlawing teaching about slavery. Not that he don't want people to think that we came from the Atlantic slave trade, but he trying to halt the history because they don't want us to. They don't want people to find out that we was really here. Not only that, you seeing what Ron DeSantis is doing out in Florida. They deliberately cut out all Black history in the state of Florida. So you got Florida, Texas. Not only that, what Trump is doing with the Smithsonian Museum, they trying to erase history. So, because a lot of this shit goes down to us being the Aboriginal people of this land, and so not only that, man, we seeing everybody getting allocated money, man. But they know, man, as far as what they have to pay us, it's not only that you took our land, but the atrocities that happened. Now, as far as the Africans getting it, there wasn't ethnogenesis with the West Africans that was brought here with that small percentage, but ethnogenesis happened. Ethnogenesis happens across the globe. People do blend in. We are a mixture of some West Africans, things of that nature. Um, but as far as that go, with the reparations thing, I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen within 2 to 3 years, but I do think that when my son becomes 10, 15, 20 years old, I think it'll happen in his time. I at least want to see the other generation get that money, man. You know, hopefully I can see it if I'm still alive. But what I'm glad about is that the movement, man, is shaking up the political realm. It's shaking up the political realm heavy. That's what's getting to me in a positive light. And everybody coming out the woodwork. You see what happened with Charlie Kirk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, he talked against that shit, and he was trying to saying that we wouldn't have been in a good place if it wasn't for slavery. This is the type of shit he said. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, you got other white nationalists, man. By the way, Charlie Kirk was already clicked in with the right wing, and he was already clicked in with Trump and shit like that because he helped Trump pick his cabinet. And
Right.
so you had people like Charlie Kirk who got a voice. These other people who has a voice, who has a huge platform, uh, they can manipulate everybody else's minds, man. If you're not careful, man. So by us having a voice out here and we on that train, meaning I'm not saying being followers, but we on the train and ride and on that wave of okay, man, we did A, B, and C. Now we want our money. You know what I'm saying? We laying
Absolutely.
claim to this land, which is true. We are um, aboriginal to this land before anybody else got here. And the problem is that a lot of our folks don't know their damn history, man. We've been taught a lot of the wrong bullshit, but that's what they're trying to do with the reparations. They're trying to go and erase the history to try to say that we wasn't aboriginal to this land. See, it goes back to who blood and bones is in this land. That's what a reparations thing. That's how it works, and that's how it failed if we don't get to the true history of what really happened and who really the aboriginal of these lands.
And that's yeah, and I agree with you, and that's the reason why I think they are trying to erase our history out of the books, in particularly states like Florida and stuff like that. They are trying to erase our history because they don't want to pay those reparations. You know what I'm saying? But you cannot hide the fact that the black man is the original man all across the globe, all across the globe. You know what I'm saying? So, those and a lot of people say things like, "Oh, well, we're never going to get it, or we're never going to get reparations, or they're never going to give us reparations." We should not have a defeatist mindset like that. If we have whenever we fight, 9 times out of 10, we win. So we need to stay fighting for our reparations. We need to keep our foot on the neck of these devils at all times and never let up. Whether they're going to give us reparations or not doesn't matter. We still need to keep our foot on their neck, and that is the mentality that our people need to have. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got the defeated mindset come from, and it's not our fault, man, because it's we get our information from how we
That's
was
good.
taught, being indoctrinated with false history in school. Um, a lot of us start waking up, man, to digging. Like every now and then, I've been digging into my father's side of the family, my mother's side too. But
Yeah.
um, what amazes me, man, is looking at that long history, man. I can trace my dad's history all the way back to the late 1870s. When this is when the census and stuff started coming out. Um, I think that, man, we got to keep pushing the envelope to get this shit going, but we got to get the younger ones in there too, man, because like the Kirk, you got your people like your Kirk. I'm got a brain fart right now.
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk thing was when he was going to these college campuses, man, was indoctrinating these young minds and creating some new age white nationalists, man. So he was trying to indoctrinate them. That's what he was doing. And he was debating the gays, he was debating the blacks, but he was going after the weak points. He was going after some young
Yeah.
black adults that he knew that couldn't debate him. That's what
Well, see,
that's
this
the
is the
thing he was
thing. Let
doing.
me let me jump in right there where you was at, brother. Because this is the thing. Charlie Kirk was visiting college campuses, and he was debating young people who they're just starting to develop their political voice. They were just starting to develop their political voice. So these people were not really capable of really debating him. But this was pretty much like you say, it was weaker targets. And I'm gonna be totally honest with you. There are some things that I agree with Charlie Kirk with, as far and obviously his views on the black community I found very reprehensible. Did not agree with his every point that he made was easily debunkable. Was
Yeah.
could be easily debunked.
Right.
Now, I'm just gonna say this for the record. I'm going to say this for the record. I am not mourning Charlie Kirk's death. Let's just make that clear. I'm not mourning Charlie Kirk's death, but I am not going to celebrate it either. Just for the simple fact that I we understand that the black man and the black woman, we are 100% human beings with no Neanderthal DNA. So I think it is just natural for us to. I'm not saying that we should feel empathy, which I don't feel empathy, but I do understand that he was unalive for speaking his mind. As reprehensible as it was, he was unalive for speaking his mind, and that's something that we all do
Right.
online. So
Right.
should I be unalive for speaking my mind? Hell no.
No.
Absolutely not. So I don't agree with that. But like I said, there's no empathy there. But I'm not going to dance on the man's grave either, because I'm not going to dance on anybody's grave who have not physically done harm to a black person. Now, if somebody's physically done harm to a black person, they killed a black baby, they killed a black boy, black child, something like that, and then something ended up happening to them, I'll celebrate that. But if somebody who's just speaking their mind, that's not something I wouldn't celebrate. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
Say what you got to say.
Well,
Let me hit this something real quick.
I'm gonna reply to that real quick. Um, as far as celebrating his death, the only thing I can say is one less gone. Okay, so my thing is that with the Charlie Kirk situation, um, it's one less we got to deal with. That's a statement that I have on that, man. It's one less we got
Absolutely.
to deal with. Now, as far as celebrating white supremacy in a whole, man, we got a fucking huge monster to deal with.
Yeah, that's just one person. So,
Yeah,
celebrating is really not going to
right.
do
So
anything. We still have
my
to deal with the system.
right. So Charlie Kirk, you got to remember, man, because people try to say, oh, he was a grassroots. A lot of the white nationalists and a lot of people that supported him was trying to say, oh, man, he was our grassroots speaker, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't grassroots. Let me put that out there. You have some black folks saying, for the white folks on their end, he was this grassroots speaker. He wasn't grassroots.
He
Reason
was
why,
well funded. He was well
he
funded.
well funded. He had all these corporations behind him. He had the owner, especially the owner of Home Depot. He done had politicians behind him. You got the right that was endorsing him. I'm gonna make something clear, and I'm gonna be honest as fuck on my stance with this political shit. And I had to do a lot of rethinking, man. My mindset over the last 2 years has changed a lot with a lot of shit. Um, I always said that I don't want to get involved with politics, but then I had to understand our people have no choice. Now, as far as following a party, no. We have to be policy people, meaning that I got to deal with this devil who is the white man. Hey, I have to deal with this white man every day. I have to deal with him through employment. I have to deal with this motherfucker when we make purchases. He prints the money. I got to deal with him on a political sphere, whether I like it or not. We all have to deal with this shit, right? You can't escape it. But I remember, man, online, uh, when I made some comments, on certain posts about, what Trump was running and when he was going with against Kamala, and I'm like, damn, I hope Trump get in there. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad Trump in there, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because now we can see this system for what it is. Number one, Trump ain't gonna sugarcoat shit. I don't want nobody else in there what has white supremacy views with a black face, but they try to sugarcoat it. Kamala would have been a
Right.
mess. Not only that, Kamala with her own chest, and she said it proudly when they asked the question about reparations. And do you think that black folks should only get reparations? She was like, no, black folks shouldn't be the only ones getting reparations. That was her words, verbatim. But then she started allocating all this money. Her and Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, was giving all this money to all these foreigners coming over here in a span of 4 years, dude. Not only that, they did they did a calculation on how much money was allocated to all these foreigners. First of all, how many trillions we gave to Ukraine? How many trillions that we gave to the Hispanic community escaping Mexico? Even though they can fix their own country, stand on business how we do over here, we don't run. We don't run over here. So they was looking out for everybody else and then try to get black folks to go for that nonsense as far as, okay, we gotta let the, migrants over here. They was trying to, a lot of the Democrats was on that shit. So I'm like, okay, fuck that. I'd rather have Trump in here. Cause at least, you know what I'm saying, I know what I'm dealing with. At least I can face my enemy face on, and I know what my who my enemy is and what my enemy is about. That's why I wanted Trump in there. Do I care for him as a person? I don't give a shit. But
Right.
we need the most. You got to remember, Lyndon B. Johnson was an open racist, but this motherfucker helped pass a lot of the civil rights bills and shit like that. You know what I mean?
By force,
It's,
but he
it's
did.
yeah. So this is business, man. Hey, cut cut our money, man. Cut my check. This is about business. When I deal with white folks, it's business. I know I have no choice. Everybody, I don't give a fuck how much land you got in this country. I don't care how much money you got. You got to deal with this devil. You got to deal with him, man. And so, um, I think for right now, man, when we say we delineate from other black groups, we're not saying F you to the Caribbeans and the Africans and so forth, but we're saying, hey, look, y'all on your own, you got to hold your own nuts. Because everybody's coming here and they want us to fight for their cause, and we've been doing that for too long. And so I
We've been
think
doing
our,
that for
our,
way
our
too
mess
long.
up was, our problem was we looked out for everybody else and we didn't do enough for ourselves. And so sometimes you make mistakes in war, man. That's part of war. with these movements, man, and trying to get right for everybody else, we fucked up, and now we have to focus on ourselves. So,
Right.
you know, I would tell people, man, hey, dig in your family past. I'm not no African. Now, am I African through DNA? Yeah. Everybody came out of Africa. White folk, man, we ain't gonna even get on where the white man came from. He only been here 6,000 years. And two of those, um, out of that six, he been civilized, so-called civilized. But everybody came out of Africa. There wouldn't be no other races without that. It's not a theory. These are facts. And so I don't denounce being that I have African DNA, but my people was born here. I'm Aboriginal to this land. I was here
That's where the
before the so-called red
ethnogenesis.
natives. Right. And now
That's
you
where the
have,
ethnogenesis comes in.
right. So you got these Hispanic speakers now with some ridiculous bullshit on these podcasts saying that they people was the original people of this land, but they got no receipts to back it up. You even got white scholars, man. Because if I can bring up some black scholars, people gonna say, "Oh, that's that hotep, that's that, that conspiracy
Okay.
theory nonsense." But you got white archaeologists and white scholars, man.
Okay.
That prove that we was here first. Um, so you gotta pay back people for the slavery, and you gotta pay back people for taking the land too. I mean, we owe way more than what the red natives been getting.
Right.
So, so if the red natives got it, we know damn well we can get it as well.
Yo, let me jump in on that, man. Speaking of the red natives, they owe us too. I just did a podcast recently talking about these treaties, these Native American treaties from these so-called five civilized tribes that has been broken. These five civilized tribes, which were the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Seminole, the Cherokees, and the Creeks, they all made deals with the governments to where they can get these what they have now, these reservations, money, land, stuff like that. And in those treaties, they were supposed to share these resources with the black natives that were in their tribes.
Right,
So they did not do that in 1866. What they did was they found various reasons to deny the black members of those tribes those resources. And then later on, they started kicking the black people out of the tribes altogether. And now that they
right,
got us kicked out of those tribes, now they are trying to erase our lineage altogether from being native to this land. And you have some Siberians who done crossed that bridge and came over here, pale skinned Siberians are trying to claim indigenous lineage and trying to erase us out of it altogether. And I have a issue with that.
right. That's been going on in Florida. What you mentioning, with these cases, man. That's been going on in Florida, Oklahoma, even in North Carolina, where a lot of these red natives was turning away the black natives. But we made a mistake again, trying to go through the red natives to claim, and a lot of, these so-called tribes, a lot of these tribes was renamed by Europeans. And when we go to, the Seminole means runaway. The original so-called Seminoles were a so-called black Indian. Nobody never called themselves an Indian, but a lot of these pale skins, a lot of white folks, for decades, even since after slavery, been claiming the so-called native things. All they had to do was back in the days in the late 1800s would pay $5 to get on the dog rolls, and that's where you get the terminology $5 Indian from. So everybody got all these little tricks and things under their sleeve to get land and getting reparations that they didn't deserve, man. Because they laid no claim to this land. White folks came here to escape the British. That's how they got here. They retreated from their own land. And as far as the red natives, um, yeah, when they came here, there was some ethnogenesis that happened with the red natives, but they got here way later. way later.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I'm not mad at them getting their money. Let me say it like this here. I'm not mad at anybody getting their money. If you can swindle money out this government, hey, that's not my business. My business is to make sure the man pay me what he owes me. That's my
That's right.
issue. That's what my issue is, man. But
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, brother. This is still sticking to the subject, but I've noticed that you have an influx of like Africans from the diaspora. You also have an influx of Pan Africans, American. They might be Black American. They might be FBA, what have you, but they identify as Pan Africans. And it seems to me that they are helping or teaming with the pale skinned Siberian so called Native Americans
right.
to help them to try to delete our lineage, all because they feel that we should be connecting with Africa and not connecting with the lands of North America. How do you feel about that?
I put it like this here, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. And that Pan African movement, man. Let's just keep it clear. The Pan Africans are Black Americans on that side of the coin. There is no Pan Africanism on the African side of the coin. There is no Pan Africanism nowhere in Africa.
Right.
Even asked other Pan Africanists, who's Pan African in Africa? What out of those 54 nations, who's a Pan African? That Pan African movement was started, well, with the help of the government. The Pan African, really, man, the one that was trying to be genuine with it was on the Black American side of the coin. But a lot of them done got lost up into those ideologies that, man, we got to help Africa do this, we got to help Africa do that, and we had this misinterpretation of um, where we belong, meaning that we thinking that we all spawned out of Africa by force, and that this land ain't ours. We think that this land is the white man's land, and and that the red natives had this land first. That's where the Pan African teachings come from. That's part of the Pan African teachings, is that we all came here from Africa. Before, I mean, right at slavery and after slavery, they think we all came in from Africa. That's what the big thing about Pan Africanism. Two, a lot of the Pan Africanists, they never in Africa. They never
Never.
going back to Africa. You know what I mean? And not only that, they helping the white man. Um, cause you trying to make it minute on how black people is, man. We was all over this planet, man. Um, if I'm a betting man, and I would ask and debate anybody to tell me, name a place on the planet Earth that black folks wasn't at. We was everywhere. You know what I mean? People think that we didn't migrate out of Africa until the white man built boats and pull us out. That was Africans coming here. Not only that, for thousands of years. If you go back to ancient Egypt, in those mummies, man, they was finding cocaine in some of the mummies' body. They were showing you that, because you only get cocaine from South America. You go to the Lucia woman. You already know about it with the Smithsonian. Um, they did not Smithsonian. They did an analysis on the skull of some of the people that was here in South America. And the Lucia woman is over 11,000 years old, and that woman looked
Right.
like she could be somebody from my family.
Exactly.
So the Pan Africanists, they're not going to tell you that our bones and our blood was on this land first. They're going to tell you, they try to do the back to Africa thing, or you got to allocate our, shared earnings to help out other Africans. But Africans have tribalism in Africa right now. If you see, Ghana, it's a big, huge thing in Ghana trying to kick out the Nigerians right now as we speak. You have
Same with
different,
South Africa. They kicking
right? You
out the
have
Nigerians too. It seems like everywhere the Nigerians go, they getting beat up.
right,
Everywhere they go, in China, they getting beat up with poles and shit. They go to Russia, they get beat up. Go to Ireland, get beat up. It seems like everywhere they go, they getting beat up. The only place where they not really getting beat up is here,
right,
because they feel that they have some protection here from us.
right,
But since this delineation movement has happened, they've been forced to, as Tariq Nasheed would say, hold their own nuts, so to speak.
Right. Hey, let me clear something up real quick, man. What's kind of capping my ass, man, is a lot of people saying, "Oh, man, everybody with this FBA movement is regurgitating Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed. Look here, man. Tariq Nasheed had to understand the history and learn like the rest of us, man. Tariq Nasheed don't lead anything. He has a voice. He just putting it out on the forefront with the lies. Before Tariq Nasheed, Elijah Muhammad was already teaching us this ahead of time. Even Noble Drew Ali. You know what I mean? I give credit where credit is due. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
Claude Anderson was teaching us
yeah.
this.
Claude Anderson was doing this since the '80s, man. John
Yeah,
Henry
brother
Clark,
Neely Fuller was talking
right?
about this.
So,
Yeah,
but not just to stick to the black ones. A lot of people, like again, people like to label shit conspiracy theory, but we even go to some white archaeologists, and even some white scientists was even proving that there was black faces here before anywhere else. So this is proven, man. I mean, it takes me a while to go dig up piece by piece to go into the history. That's another show to where we can go piece by piece with history. But as far as um, the Pan African shit, man, that was a big mistake, a huge mistake. You know what I mean? So I think we wasted a lot of time and a lot of decades, man, trying to help those that didn't want to be helped. Not only that, we didn't get no reciprocation nowhere. Um,
absolutely none.
right.
I think the issue with the Pan Africanism is like during the '60s, and I talked about this before in recent videos, but like during the '60s and early '70s, you know, we were really trying to connect with Africa. We were changing our names to like Jamal, Akbar. You know, we were really trying to Africanize ourselves. We started wearing dashikis. We were wearing afros and throwing up that black fist.
Right.
We advocated uh, for the diaspora to come here, but the reason why we did that is because we thought that we were going to have allies to help us fight against white
That's what it
supremacy.
was. That's what it was.
That's all it was. We were looking for allies, and we thought that if we helped them to get here, that they were allied with us in our fight against white supremacy because we all have the same common enemy, right?
Right.
But that didn't happen that way. Like you said, they came here, they were conditioned. You know, I've had plenty of Africans tell me that, yeah, in customs, they tell us to stay away from y'all. They
They do.
propagandize us and they tell us to stay our parents. They tell us to stay away from y'all. They tell us don't deal with y'all. They call us akatas and all of this stuff.
Right.
So it did not work out in our favor. Like you say, it has always been a one-way street where we benefited we barely benefited at all. Now, if
Right.
black Americans have benefited in any kind of way, is okay, well maybe we received some type of knowledge of African history, or we received some type of spiritual system from Africa that we adhere to.
Right.
But other than that, we have not been reciprocal of Pan-Africanism. But Africans, when they come here, they received a lot more than what we received on the other end. You know,
Right.
they get the DACA program, they get the Dreamer program,
Right.
they get grants and stuff for colleges, they get student visas, they get money, they get checks, they get things that we normally would not get. So not that, I don't have an issue with that. Well, I do because it's cutting in on what Black Americans deserve and what we could be getting. But the point that I'm making is they receive tangible benefits from Pan Africanism, and we receive maybe a spiritual system. It
No,
it
I
doesn't
won't
it
even say
doesn't
that.
add
I
up.
won't even say that. I won't even say our spiritual systems because um, not even that part. You know what I mean? We already had a spiritual system here. You know what I mean? And I tell you,
Right.
I'm one of the ones. I'm gonna be honest with you. I practice Ifa, or I would say I'm not as strong as in it as I used to be. and as far as getting into root work and, stuff like that. And people would try to say, oh man, see, that's an African system. But that system didn't really get strong until it was on this land.
Yeah, we've been practicing root work on this land for
Yeah,
decades,
when the spirit when we had the
centuries.
exegesis, exactly. And those systems, man, we seen that we use them systems, when we was going head up with our enemy, man, on a day-to-day basis, man. So I wouldn't say directly that we was getting the spiritual systems from Africa, because they don't reciprocate. They don't even really practice that shit anyway, like that. Because they so
Right.
tribalism, man, and tribalism it's an epidemic in Africa right now, man. There's 43 million Black Americans in America. In Africa, you got billions of Africans in Africa. Each of
They're
those nations,
85
they
to
got
90%. They're 85
over.
to 90% of the population, but they control zero resources.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, I don't how you feel about Ibrahim Torre. Now he's trying to make some changes, and I think that he has access and he controls his gold
Oh,
and
easy.
and stuff like that.
Easy.
But
Only thing,
my personal opinion about Ibrahim Torre is I think that he's doing great things for Burkina Faso,
right.
but it's not enough.
Well,
We keep having a Ibrahim Torre here, Robert Mugabe there, Julius Malema here. It's like if Africa does not come together as one collective unit instead of just having one person here, one person there, and then and then you got other Africans trying to take them out every chance they get. We're never going to get anywhere
well,
as far as true Pan Africanism. That's how
my
I feel that
thing.
Africa need to get their thing together,
Right,
cut out this tribalism, and
right.
come together for one common cause.
Well, hear me out and mark my word. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to say, "Hey, man, I was wrong." Ibrahim Toure, I would say this here: he's going to be compromised. That I don't buy that. First of all, because he's already in deals with Vladimir Putin.
Right.
He's already in deals with Vladimir Putin. That already letting me know once Vladimir get into his ear, here come China. Now watch what I tell you. With Ibrahim Toure, watch how China later on down the line get into the mix of everything. Mark my words. I don't buy it. I believe it. What he's trying to do is a lot of African leaders been trying to do A, B, and C, but then damn, they get compromised. So uh, on the outside, it looks good. I'm not gonna lie. For me personally, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy
Right.
it. Um, we seen what happened. We fell for the Marcus Garvey thing, and look what Marcus Garvey ended up doing. He called us lazy Negroes, and he started off with a good thing. I still, and some things that he talked about, Marcus Garvey, I rock with that. But my thing, it rubbed me the wrong way. We made a lane for him in America to come out here with his movement. Jamaica was rejecting him. His own people was rejecting him in Jamaica. He had to come here. Um, as far as the
He
Pan
did.
African thing, when Malcolm tried to get with these certain African nations, a lot of people was rejecting Malcolm X. They don't talk about that a lot. A lot of these African leaders was rejecting Malcolm X, and so we come to a conclusion after 70 years is that okay, man, most of these nations in Africa been compromised, or they don't want no Pan Africanism with the blacks on the western side of the world. So what it is, they looking for their own self interest, and I get it. They doing their thing, and that's what we got to be. Now, as far as the CARICOM situation, you're right. They didn't mention no Black Americans here. They didn't mention nobody. They did mention nations and the Caribbean nations and things of that nature. So that just lets me know, man, okay, we have to delineate and we have to do things on our own. Anytime they get an achievement or an award, it's like, oh man, I got this for Ghana. You in America and you get your little achievements and you say you did it for your nation or you did it for the Puerto Rico. And it's like when we do it, we say we did, we black and proud. We represent everybody. You understand? We
Hmm.
don't say, oh man, I did this for this state or I did this for A, B, and C. We try to make all of our people proud, man. So it's like every time they get a little win in whatever section, they big up their nation, they big up Ghana or they big up Nigeria, and they all come over here and say they got better education than we do. They say, man, they did a study, man, when they did like household incomes, and when they said that Africans make more than Black Americans as far as household incomes, they also broke down that a lot of Africans have at least 8 to 12 adults in those houses, with everybody bringing in different income. You know
Of
what I mean?
course.
So they're not outdoing us, man. As far as that, let's say all Black Americans did lead this country, America would go into a third world country. Those are facts because we had the biggest spending power. Anytime people try to get things off the ground financially, or they try to get networks going, or popularize things, we are the backbone of it. They hate us, but they can't do anything without us. When we know that with Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, what they did to Harlem back in the 1930s, whenever we
Hmm.
separate and do good and we try to get away from white folks, they get upset, but yet they don't want us around them. So it's like they know that if you put us in our own enclaves by ourselves,
We
we're
will
going to get
thrive.
those communities popping.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, brother. Recently, here you had the African Union, who, by the way, do not have any black American representation at all. The African Union, they feel that they should step in front of black Americans' reparations claim, and try to represent us as far as the reparations. Me, I see that as a finesse. I see that as them trying to get in front of our reparations claim and steal it. How do you feel about the African Union? One, not having a member of the African American group in their union, and two, how do you feel about the African Union jumping in front of FBA Black Americans reparations claim?
Man, I just feel that it's a blood sucking move to even pretend like we have anything to do with it, but none of us are participating in it. They understand that having the essence of our name in it, or the essence of foundational Black Americans, man, they know it's gonna get shit rocking, but that shit's gonna crash and burn because really, if you don't have nobody standing 10 toes down of FBA lineage, that shit ain't gonna rock no way. Then two, I have to look at who's behind the shit, who's behind the scenes. Um, I'm looking at a lot of these white colonials that's pushing that shit. You know what I mean? That's my thing. You got to remember what Neely Fuller said. You always got to see who's behind, who's the puppet master. You always got to see who's running the show. As far as that, they understand that if we are in the mix, things get going. Africa has not gotten anything off the ground yet. Um, they haven't gotten no systems off the ground yet. So they can try all they want to, man. They already know without us, ain't nothing gonna get done. I just think it's a farce, but I'm looking at who's behind it. That's my thoughts on it. I'm looking at who's behind it.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother. That's definitely a good answer.
Listen. It could have been done a long time ago, man. 95% of the population, man. A lot of the things that they needed to get done, it could have been done a long time ago. Because I said like this here, by us being 13%, and you got to remember, just 55 years ago, we wasn't even so-called 13%, and we got a lot of things off the ground. We got a lot of things. Man, I always tell people, man, look at how we got the 14th Amendment started. Look at how we got certain laws passed, even though white folks didn't want that shit passed, but they understood that a lot of their economy would crash and burn. See, white people look at the economy, whatever we buy helps them. When we don't buy or we don't get involved, it crashed them down. It crashed the economy down. So they hate our guts, but they need us, man. It's like the movie Sinners. You watch the movie Sinners, man. That movie Sinners explained a whole lot of things, man. Even the writers and producers was breaking it down about that movie, man. You know, you got a lot of these bloodsuckers that need your energy because they know that, damn, these people, they are the goddamn, bread and butter to get things going. We need to suck on their blood. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, they're gonna use our name and our likeness, and for whatever endeavor they're trying to get done. So it's no surprise to me, man.
Right. Absolutely, it's no surprise to me either. And like you said, I just see it as a blood sucking move. I see it as just a scam, and it's just their way of trying to step in front of our reparations movement. And and also, it's not going to work. We're not
No.
behind it. We don't support it. We're calling it out. Barack Obama is behind it as well, and he appointed a Nigerian woman. I don't remember her name. Is lovely something, uh, something or rather. Uh,
Um, what's that lady name, man? I'm getting a brain fart. I know exactly who you're talking about.
right, and but it's not going to work. That's why I really love this FBA movement and delineation, renaissance. Um, we're calling all of that out. It's not going to work. Years ago, we wouldn't have been. We would have
Right.
thought, hey, well, we're all Africans, so yeah, why not let them fight for, but we wouldn't have seen the finesse. Now
Well,
that we're wiser, we see the finesse in what they're trying to do, and we're not going to let that happen. We are not in Africa trying to jump in front of whatever claims that they're making to Britain or London or France or whatever the case. And that's if they're fighting at all. It doesn't seem like they are because I've seen videos of is all they're doing is fleeing and running and
but
moving, going to different countries and trying to live their lives there and going to different places and getting work visas and stuff like that and getting their ass whooped in the process.
right. Well, I put it like
So,
this here, man. As far as Black Americans, man, we never had no place. We don't have no. Well, I say right now, we don't have anywhere we wanted to have an escape or anywhere to where we can seek asylum. We don't have no places like that. We don't have no asylum spots. Everybody else has an asylum spot. We don't have an asylum spot, and then we don't have nowhere we can tether on. Which I'm not trying to tether on anyway. We don't need to be tethering to nobody else. We hold on our own. But people have had a gateway created for them to come here and to tether on, man. And that's a coward look, man. When people say, "Oh, man, y'all Black Americans got to get it together." Dude, you see this shit in full spectrum. You just go on any comment section, bro. All through Twitter X, man. Um, just go to Instagram. A lot of these Instagram posts, man. These Africans are talking shit, man, heavy. You even got people that's coming out saying how these Africans talk on their job sites, things of that nature. Um, they come here and say how they do more well than we do. But the thing is that a lot of them really not achieving shit like that. And we bought into that shit. I bought into that shit years ago. That damn, they come here, they get their education, they get into a paying career field, things of that nature. A lot of that shit ain't true. Yeah,
no, they're
on
not
the
doing nothing
outside,
that Black Americans have not already done, man. They come here, they come here, they go to school, they get jobs, they drive Uber, they do everything that we've already done. We have
right,
Black American lawyers, we have Black American doctors, we have Black Americans who work regular jobs. They don't come here and do any better than what we do. If they
right,
did, then Black Americans would not be the number one black group in the diaspora to have the we have the most spending power more than any other black group in the diaspora. We have over what 10 trillion in spending power.
Right.
No other black group in the black diaspora has that type of spending power. But let me let me say this, brothers, and we can go ahead and start wrapping it up,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get to my little patrol, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I got
Right.
you.
But yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we live in Houston, so we have a lot of immigrants here, right?
Right,
So I worked at several places where I worked with a lot of Africans, and I'm talking about Africans from all over the continent, man. I've talked with Africans from Ethiopia, Africans from Kenya, Africans from Ghana, South Africa, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso. Man, I've talked to Africans from all over the continent. The majority of them, when they open their mouth and we start talking about politics, when I opened my mouth as a black American back then, I sounded more African than they did. I would talk about things that correlate to Pan Africanism, things like going to Africa, purchasing land, building, things like that. But when they open their mouths, and I'm not saying that all of them, but the majority of them that I've spoken with, when they open their mouths, man, they sound like somebody straight out of Fox News, man. They came with the whole blacks are 13% of the population, but commit 50% of the crimes, lie. They repeating all of these things that came straight out of Fox News, man. So it's like, that was a wake up call to see how
right,
these people really see us. So why
right,
am I gung ho on Pan Africanism and trying to
right.
build with these people when they see us as like thugs and criminals?
Well,
So that was a part of my wake up call, and one of the reasons why. Now, and I mentioned this on the Taharka Bay program as well, and he just kind of brushed it off as, oh, all of that is just emotional. Emotional. It don't have nothing to do with emotions. I'm just saying what these people are saying about us.
right,
How can we practice Pan Africanism with somebody who has a mentality like that?
right. Well, here's the
You know
thing.
what I'm saying?
Number one, you can't practice and in other words, it's like me trying to be friends with someone who don't want to be friends with me. That's to break it down in the simplest terms, right? Now,
Mhm.
let's talk about this shit here. And I'm expounding on what you're saying. The thing when you said that you sounded more African, it, and I do believe that, um, because nobody hates Africa more than Africans themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
There was more love for Africa from over here than over there. Um, One thing I started noticing, man, when they did these crime statistics, when you go to FBI reports and you go to CDC reports, what pisses me off is on with these suspected white supremacists, and what's also pissing me off, a lot of these Africans and Caribbeans, when there's ever crime stats that are high, they always put them in the mix of black, so-called black crime, which is no such thing as black crime. And I noticed that they've been using a lot of these political heads, these corporations been using Africans as a buffer. A lot of these tethers been used as a buffer. So when they try to disparage, the black community, trying to say, babies born out of wedlock, uh, fathers are not in these children's lives, things of this nature. They come up with these bullshit statistics. Um, None of these Africans, the ones who are on that tether stuff, because not all Africans are tethers, but a lot of them sell their kids off to white people. A lot of them Africans got orphans running around. Man, I can name any nation that's orphans running around. And you got these savory white women going out there adopting these black kids out in Africa, man, Africa leads the goddamn world with fatherless homes. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of these kids didn't even know who their fathers were, bro. Um, that's the that's stat wise, man. And I need to pull that up and bring that out in the forefront too. Um, when they come out with diseases, a lot of these. That's why when you go to Africa, like when they did with COVID, um, even before COVID, when you if you went to Africa before you went and before you came back, um, a lot of times people had to get tested to make sure they didn't bring anything from over there. Um,
Yeah, Obama killed that bill though. He made it to where you know they didn't have to. He made it to where when immigrants come to this country, they don't have to get vaccinated or get checked for any type of diseases and stuff like that. Obama killed that bill there.
you got places like Sierra Leone, Nigeria, um, certain parts of South Africa, and even in the United States of America, man, a lot of these foreign Africans lead the black community with these dangerous diseases as far as HIV and AIDS. And what gets me, man, that's why I say we delineate every stat that's on us. We want our own statistics on the shit we do amongst ourselves. But I'm tired of being lumped in together with a lot of these Africans, man. All the negative shit. Whenever something good go down or whatever achievements that happens, you know, they separate themselves. And white folks will say, "Oh man, you know, this such and such person from Uganda, this person from the Congo, blah blah blah." But whenever it's something negative, they lump all black folks together, and I noticed that in the last couple of years,
Absolutely.
man. And so, how we already understand how the government works. We already understand how the FBI works, and a lot of these tethers, man, are used as buffers. They buffer group, and that's self-explanatory. These are buffer groups, and we got to be careful with that because a lot of them come here, and some of them change their name to these Americanized last names. They try to, get the mannerisms down, the Americanized, Black American uh, social constructs down, and they blend in with us, but yet they undermine us. So a lot of them are real sneaky, man. A lot of them are not to be trusted. A lot of them are government informants. We've seen this for the past 60 something years, how a lot of these tethers ended up being government informants.
Right,
Um,
and also, brother, just to add on to what you say, I mean, these people from the diaspora, they come from such a underprivileged, underdeveloped, poor community, um, as to where they feel they are very cutthroat in the moves that they make just because of the struggle that they've been through. So they are willing to cut anybody's throat just to get a crumb, to get a penny, just to get a loaf of bread. They will cut your throat. So this is the what we're dealing with as far as dealing with Africans from the diaspora, especially when they make their way to America. This is exactly what they're dealing with. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. I really appreciate chopping it up with you, man. We definitely gonna do this more
yeah.
often. Do you have any last words that you wanna add before we go?
I would say, man, look here, man, we gotta do more studying. Studying don't stop. And we have to also, man, this is, we at war, bro. War is not just physical, it's psychological. And it's also, we have to make ourselves, we got to stand 10 toes down and make ourselves look more better, man. And stop letting these people put these false statistics on us. Last thing and least, uh, man, you get a hold of Taharka Bay because he's running from that debate. He's running. I wish I could
Hey,
get Sa
Tahaka
Nutter.
Bay, Tahaka Bay, stop running, baby.
I wish I
Stop
could
running
get.
from my brother. Come
I
on,
wish I.
come on with it, man. Come on with the debate, bro. You got something to
I wish
say? Come on and challenge my brother.
I
Come
wish
on
I
and
could
debate
get.
my brother, man. Stop
I wish
running.
I. I wish I can get. I wish I can get Sonetta, man. My name ain't out there like that, but man, when they have all these debates and they get paid, I mean, I can do this debate for free. But my thing is, I'm willing to. I'm saying this on camera. I'm willing to put anything I say that he can debunk. I put any amount of money on the table. I'm so sure of myself. You understand what I'm saying? That this dude going to get washed. He said that, from what I seen on one of his posts, he was saying that we ain't foundational. Everybody came straight out of Africa. And there's some other points, man, that he was coming up with, but he told me when. So I answered his call and I'm like, let's do it tonight. I did it at one time. He didn't do it. So he running, man. So I've been trying to get him out there, man, you know what I'm saying, so I can expose what he's doing. I know what Tahark is doing. It's laughable, but I know what Tahark is doing, man. Even some of the Moors, in which Moor is nothing but a descriptive term. It's not a it's not an organization, man. You know, I'm looking at a Moor on this screen. I'm a Moor. You know, Moor is a descriptive term, but he's saying that we all, they nothing but a group. This is all groups. Well, motherfucker, the Moorish Science Temple is a goddamn group. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying? So it's a
Well, he
lot of
said
this shit.
himself that people don't like to listen to Moors, so I guess that's what he's trying to do to get people to. It seems like maybe he's just trying to bring more people on to the Moorish Science Temple, or he's just trying to bring more people just to his following. Period.
Hey,
Maybe
but
it's
well,
more.
I
It's
do it.
more of
I
a
do it in
personal
I do it on the
thing.
neutral thing because he got a lot of followers now, or he got enough. So do it in front of his crowd too. We can go live, we need to just get a mediator and put some money on the table. I need the money too, so this will be an easy win.
All right, you heard that, Tahaka Bay? My brother Sean said he would challenge you. He could put some money on the table. He would challenge you to a debate, and he said stop running. So, hey, that's on you, brother. Tahaka Bay, you heard it here first, live on the Rebellious Rama podcast. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man.
All right,
We appreciate our brother Sean, or the Suedo. What's the
pseudo
name you go
killer,
by now?
pseudo killer.
Pseudo Killer, aka the Pseudo Killer. You know what I'm saying? Challenge my brother, debate my brother. See where you end
Not
up.
only to Harker, not only to Harker. Here's the thing. Listen, I ain't afraid to look like a fool on camera, which that ain't gonna happen. Man, look here, man. Let's put money. We know black folks love money. We ain't shooting dice. We ain't doing no illegal shit. We making money debating. Let's put some money on the table.
Absolutely.
Let's put
And
the
that's
money on
and
the
that's what
table.
it is, brother. And that's exactly what it
And,
is. My
and
battery, my battery's
come with the
running low.
facts.
But
Don't come with these white folk statistics. Come with some reputable facts. That's what I'm talking about. I do the
absolutely.
research on this shit that he talking about, and he ain't got no reputable stats on the shit that he coming up with. It's a lot of these white folk stats. So we gonna get
Yeah,
down to
yeah, of
business
course.
if he want to. But I'm calling anybody that's like to hearken, man. A lot of them are spilling that bullshit, saying vile shit, man. You know, I'm looking at the shit, man. Like, let's put money on the table. Let's do it like that.
And there it is, brother. There it is. Well, my battery's running low, so I'm gonna go ahead
Uh,
and wrap it up. This has been another episode of the Rebellious Rhymer podcast. I am your host, Shane the Artist, also known as Maitreya Asek. And remember, the revolution starts with you. All right, family? All right, peace and power. We out.